Welcome everybody to Local 103. Certainly we have an exciting delegation visiting in here to talk about workforce development. Secretary of Commerce Raimondo is here. Mayor Pressley, Congresswoman is here. Our illustrious Mayor Wu is here with us. Congresswoman Clark, our Governor Healey, Congressman Lynch, our good friend, our old friend is here, and Secretary Jones is also here. I'd like to introduce our partner, IBEW Local 103's partner. We wouldn't be anywhere without our contractors and our employers. Kristen Gowan represents, she's the Executive Director for the National Electrical Contractors Association. I want to welcome Kristen. She's a great partner and a great friend to this organization. You guys met Susie. Susie's sitting in as part of this roundtable, as well as Jillian, with a little man here. Jillian's a new mom, member of Local 103. She's a journeywoman here. And Lisa Scales also is here, who's also a mom and a worker. And she had a great op-ed that was printed a couple weeks ago about being a mom and being in the construction industry. So we thought she'd be a great add to our roundtable. And certainly, I think you met Chris Sherlock. He's our training director here at IBEW's in NECA's JATC, and does a great job bringing this all together. So welcome everybody, and thank you for being here, talking about workforce development and talking about childcare in the construction industry. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Lou, and thank you for hosting us with NECA. We are so proud to be here today, and thank you, Chris, for our tour of this phenomenal facility and for introducing us to a few of your apprentices and young apprentices to be who are with us today. And there is no ticket to the middle class that is faster than the express train of a union apprenticeship. And every day, this training center is helping reach the kind of prosperity, security, and peace of mind that families are looking for. And so we know as we grow our middle class, we are growing our economy. And we are thrilled today to be here to talk particularly about working parents and meeting those needs. And I am thrilled to have such a powerful team of women leaders here. Mayor Wu, Congresswoman Pressley, our Governor, Maura Healey, and of course, our Secretary of Commerce, Gina Raimondo, and our special guest, Steve Lynch.
Yes.
And Steve grew up with 5 sisters, so this is
He's right at home.
for Steve. We are delighted to have you. And each of these leaders know that when we grow the middle class, we do that by empowering families and making sure that parents can make a good living, have a plan for the future, and are setting up their children for success. And it means, at its heart, affordable, accessible childcare. I know firsthand, being a working mom, raised 3 kids, and I hear it from parents across the Commonwealth and across the country. But the pandemic really pulled back a curtain on the fragility of our childcare system. And now we all know, to use a familiar phrase from our Dunkin' Donuts, our economy runs on childcare. And that is what makes a difference for families. And when I was here a while ago, maybe a year and a half ago, visiting the apprenticeship program, what really struck me was the need for childcare that starts at early morning shift. So you can be on the site by 6 a.m., 6:30, or even earlier. And we made sure that as Democrats, we passed the American Rescue Plan that kept 200,000 child care centers open for business during and immediately after the pandemic. We passed a federal budget that invested another $20 billion in childcare so that we can continue to bring down the cost for families. And now we are using the leverage of the federal government to make sure that employers do their part. And this is really the brainchild of our Secretary of Commerce, working with the Biden administration to add a child care component to the application for funding from the CHIPS and Science Act to really leverage that private investment in our workforce and make sure that people have access to affordable childcare so they can get to the job site and know that their family is secure. So this is a major victory for hardworking families here at the IBEW, throughout the building trades and across our country. And we are so grateful and fortunate to be joined by the brilliant leader overseeing this game-changing new requirement, our United States Secretary of Commerce, native New Englander,
Yes.
Gina Raimondo.
Yeah,
Thank you, Gina, for joining us.
Thank you. The Congresswoman is so kind to host me this morning. We've been talking about this.
Yes, we have.
For a long time, and we finally made it happen. And she's, of course, the national leader in the Congress on issues of childcare. And so I feel very honored to be here this morning. And, of course, with your governor and mayor and other members of Congress. Thank you guys all for hosting me. For me, I was the governor of Rhode Island before taking this job. So to be among the New England accent, I feel so at home today. I love it. When I met Lou right outside, he said hi. I was like, he is one of me. I love this guy. Anyway, just a few thoughts on that. So President Biden's Investing in America agenda is truly transformative. You know, the investments that we are making because of the work you did in Congress in infrastructure, broadband. One of the things I'm doing is investing $50 billion to make sure every American has the internet. It's going to put a lot of IBEW and CWE folks to work. Investments in climate, investments. I mean, the investments we are making will create millions of jobs. Union jobs, construction jobs, manufacturing jobs. I'm also investing the CHIPS and Science Act money. We'll create over 100,000 manufacturing jobs, building semiconductor facilities all over the country. So the good news is, for the next 5 to 10 years, this country will see massive job creation in high-paying jobs for Americans. We have to make sure people can get those jobs. And that's what today is all about. We have to make sure that we train folks to make sure that they're able to do these jobs. And that includes women. And I know also, as a working mother and having been the governor, it is so hard to do a job if you don't have reliable childcare. You could be the best trained electrician in the world, but if you can't drop your child off and know with confidence and peace of mind that your child will be cared for, and by the way, it opens early, every day, on time, then you can't hold your job down. And so I'm going to steal that line, by the way, the economy runs on childcare, which is true. One of the things that I'm doing in the work we're doing around broadband, in the work that I'm doing around investing in the CHIPS Act, is making sure that childcare is provided. So, for example, with the CHIPS Act, big companies will be building a new semiconductor facility. Some of those facilities will take 5 or 6 years to build. These facilities are the size of 2 or 3 football fields. We're saying, how are you going to make sure that the women, or people, not just women, people have access to childcare? And before they can get the money, the subsidy from the federal government, we need them to show us what's their workforce plan. How are they going to train folks, and how are they going to provide childcare? And some people have said to me, well, Secretary, that's social policy. That's baloney. It is not social policy. It is worker policy. It is, right now, the unemployment rate, what's the unemployment rate in the electricians in Boston?
It's under 10% in the single digits.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's probably like 2 or 3%.
Yeah.
So we have historically low unemployment, a very tight labor market, And we're about to create millions of jobs. You need to find women to do these jobs. You need to find people of color to do these jobs. You need to find people to change what they're doing to get trained. And that means we need to provide job training and childcare. So it's not social policy. I'm the Commerce Secretary. It is hard-nosed business policy. It's what's good for the economy, and it's what's good for business. I just want to say one final thing. I admire you so much. We were talking to Susie earlier, talking to Elizabeth, and these folks were doing something else. You know, who was in massage therapy, who was in HR, who, you know, y'all were in mid-career doing something else. It takes a lot of guts to say, I'm going to change. And so I just want to acknowledge that and give you a ton of credit for taking a bet on yourself to say, I can do something else. And we are all behind you to support you, to make sure that you are successful. And by the way, we need you. You're super talented, and the trades need you, and this economy needs you. So thanks for having the guts to do it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we know that Americans face high costs of childcare in every zip code in every part of this country, but it is especially dire here in Massachusetts. In my district, it is the third highest cost of childcare in the country.
Wow.
And that is why I am so thrilled that we have our new governor who really knows how to center policies, our budgets around families and their success. She understands this innately, and we are just thrilled to have you join us here today. Governor Maura Healey.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Leader Clark. Thank you so much for the invitation to bring all of us together. And, you know, I feel really, really privileged to be in a position to work with the partners I get to work with every day, including our great Secretary of Labor and Workforce Development, Lauren Jones, the team at 103, the team in private industry, and especially our federal partners, because we're in an unprecedented time. What the Biden administration has done with its focus, with its intentionality, through the leadership of Secretary Raimondo, particularly on this effort, is just outstanding. And we want to, as a state, do all we can to capitalize on that, to take advantage of those opportunities, and they are opportunities. But we also have to work on, as Congresswoman Clark just alluded to, real cost issues here. And I know it's something that, you know, I work on and Maru works on as well. A couple of things about that. First of all, I too subscribe to this notion that childcare is economics, is really the backbone of our ability to move forward as a state, or inability to move forward. So what are we doing to address that? One, we're making sure that as we compete hard for federal dollars, and you've heard me talk about that we are taking advantage of the very funding opportunities and the requirements of the program. It is right what Secretary Raimondo has done in making sure that childcare is included, because we don't have workforce unless we have childcare, and we don't have development and growth unless we have workforce. So we're busy at play with applications, the opportunity to work inside government, outside government, to submit, and hopefully we'll have some success with CHIPS and others. This program here today, you know, apprenticeships, and what the Biden administration has been able to fund with the support of partners in Congress, prioritizing these kinds of workforce opportunities, apprenticeships. This is where it's at. It's why I, in my first budget, proposed a 400% increase in funding for registered apprenticeship programs. It's why we're also leaning big time into our new initiative, Mass Talent. We've got jobs in 4 areas. Clean energy, we want to hire 5,000 electricians over the next 5 years. Advanced manufacturing, life sciences, and healthcare. We're only going to get there working in partnership with the support of the funding that we're getting from the federal government, and also doing what we need to do, which does get me back to childcare. Our budget proposal, $475 million, is what we have proposed for funding for the Commonwealth Cares programs to decrease wait lists and to reduce the cost of childcare, which we know is a barrier. It's also why I proposed a $600 tax credit for families, designed as well to remove barriers to childcare. But I'm just super excited we are, as an administration, to join with you all today. Appreciate the historic funding opportunity and this inflection point that we're at. Critical moment in our country, critical moment for the Commonwealth, but couldn't have a better team here as we think about, what's possible. So thank you, with gratitude.
Thank you so much, Governor.
Very
And
good.
I will just kick off our questions with one for Lou and Kristen. As Local 103 and NECA Boston have done a phenomenal job of really increasing the number of women and people of color in these apprenticeships. What can we do to further that work? What other barriers are you seeing? And if you could comment on the role of childcare in all of that.
Sure, I'll go first. Thank you, first off, for holding this here and for recognizing the hard work that we've been doing. We take a lot of criticism every single day that we're not doing enough, but we're working hard every day to try to make difference in people's lives, and I think we are. We care deeply about childcare. We've made it intentional on attracting women and people of color and making Local 103 a place for families. And for families, you do need childcare. So Kristen and I have really been digging in on childcare the last couple of years. We hired a childcare consultant to tell us how to open childcare, because I'm not a childcare specialist. So we hired a consultant. We've polled our membership on their childcare needs, and we're trying to put together right here on our own campus here in Dorchester and our North Campus up in Wilmington, childcare location, as well as childcare as part of training. We want to host it here. We want to have it here. And I think it hopefully will be a model for all the trades and all of apprenticeships to have a childcare model.
It's fantastic. Do you want to add
The
anything?
answer is, first of all, thank you all for being here and certainly for this opportunity. Childcare is actually something that we've been discussing often, probably more often than you will traditionally find among labor and management, particularly in the building trades. But it's because of all of the involvement of the young people, both men and women with young families, dual household incomes that struggle with this every day, which I think is why we've paid so much attention to it. And so that consultant that we've hired, we're trying to better understand, peel back the onion and figure out, do we need funding for the provider as the provider if the union hall was to open a childcare facility? But that's not going to work for everybody, because some of our IBEW members aren't going to drive 45 minutes at 5 o'clock in the morning to send their children. So we're also looking at what sort of opportunities are out there, both at the local, the state, and the federal level, that they can take advantage of those tax credits. The $600 tax credit is so critically important. And we feel a level of responsibility for the IBEW members and the NECA contractors that want to put them all to work every day to help them better understand what those opportunities are and where they are and how to get them.
Gina, do you want to ask?
Yeah, I have a question. It seems I've been to other places around the country, and I think you guys are ahead from what I've seen. I give you a huge amount of credit for what you're doing. What are some of the lessons that you've learned? Because I will go now to other places around the country and say, you ought to check out what they're doing in Massachusetts. But what are some of the lessons you've learned along the way?
And it's hard, right? Putting programs, we have 10,000 members that we work with, and not everybody has young kids, but a lot of them have young kids, and trying to centralize and trying to find a way to help them. It's going to be easier now, I think, because the local government and the federal government are stepping to the plate to help. So that certainly helps. Certainly making sure they all have jobs to go to is our key, what's most important to us. And then the childcare piece, the healthcare piece, retirement piece, all kind of falls off of that, off that job and that career that they have. So we try to make sure that they have good jobs to go to. I know the president has made PLAs, the governor has made PLAs, certainly the mayor as well, strong parts of their administration and what they want to do. And that is a huge piece, because in PLAs, you can word what you want the developer or the team to do. And if you want childcare, you can put it into a PLA, and it's a promise. It's contractual. We do. I know Brian Doherty's here with the Boston Building Trades, and is really, childcare has been one of the focal points that we've put into PLAs. certainly diversity and now childcare into PLAs. Mayor Wu has championed putting childcare into PLAs, and we're going to make it happen, right? We're definitely going to make it happen. So those are some of the challenges, but certainly PLAs are the most important part because you can dictate what you want. Yeah.
Thank you.
One of the things, if I could add to that, some of the challenges too, or I think opportunities really is how we see it, are the answer is D, all of the above. So it's working with Building Pathways, which is our pre-apprenticeship program in the city, a Care That Works, an organization that helps identify childcare opportunities for our IBEW members. It's bringing all of those folks together to join in the conversation with, frankly, our elected officials who really want to do something about it. I think that's been a challenge, identifying what those, who those groups are that should be at the table, but frankly, it's an opportunity now.
Great. We'd love to hear from our apprentices, our journeymen, just what your experience has been, how you ended up in the program here at IBEW, and what are some of the challenges raising a family. We're so glad to be joined by Jackson.
I'd like to point out that Lisa here, she's
Finishing her first year. Her and her daughter are a mother-daughter team first-year apprentices. They came into the program together. So talk about motherhood and being in the trades. It's pretty exciting.
Lisa's also on the tunnel project, which is going 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And so I think she probably knows more about the struggles of meeting home obligations and family life as anyone here at the table.
Yes, and I have a 3-year-old as well. So my oldest daughter is 24. She's a bricklayer. She's local 3. My middle daughter's an apprentice with me, as Lou said. I have a 15-year-old girl. I have a 3-year-old little boy. So yes, I work almost 7 days a week since January, outside of holidays. I would say it's extremely hard because you have to sacrifice. Being a first-year apprentice, I drove the bus for MBTA for 10 years, so obviously made a decent living. I had to make a decision over the roster pick if I was going to retire from there, and I wasn't. I didn't want to start over with the seniority. I took a chance with this. This call came from my daughter originally, my oldest daughter. She was already a bricklayer, and I told my middle daughter, we're going to go for it. It was a sign from God. I honestly didn't know what I was going to do. When this call came in, and Lou, I didn't even know how this was going to feel before the swearing in, but I kid you not, I just felt like everything was going to be okay. Like everything I prayed for was going to be okay. And it's been nothing less. With all the stress and everything, I promise you, it's been nothing less than amazing. I'm grateful for you, grateful for your team, grateful for all of you. But with my baby, my husband has had to retire from the MBTA. He did 23 years. He wanted to do 30. We had to make a decision. Was I going to work days or nights with the baby? So obviously I took the days. I'm an apprentice and I'm working. He's working at night. I do not get to see my husband, hardly ever. So it's gotten to the point where I have to turn down the overtime because we can't afford childcare. I looked into childcare, $575 a week. Can't afford it. We go to school, 4-day paychecks. So it's hard, but I will say this is worth it. It's worth it, So we appreciate everything that all of you are doing. We appreciate the acknowledgement. We appreciate you caring about our families and wanting us to be somewhere and be something. And I'm grateful. I'm thankful. And I wouldn't change anything. I'm happy to be in 103.
I'm Jillian Higgins, and I just got my ticket, and I'm a journeyman now. I was able to graduate when he was 2 months old, so I've been on maternity leave. I was a bartender before I got into 103, and joining 103 was one of the best decisions of my life. It's just been like an upward trajectory. When I found out I was pregnant, my biggest fear was childcare. My partner's a local 7-iron worker, and we both get up out the door by 5 a.m. So, I have family close, but asking them to show up at my door at 5 a.m. every day is not feasible. And you can't be late. It's a competitive trade. We all work hard, so you got to be on time. And I was lucky to get in contact with the Care That Works program. Helen and I have been in contact, and it's been it's been a huge stress relief. I still haven't nailed down childcare, and I'm going back in August. But working with her and having these options, I didn't have any, and so this is huge. And also 103, they give us maternity leave. Like, we're so lucky to be in this union, and I have this time with my baby. And the BAs have been like reaching out to me to be like, how are you doing? You know, did you find childcare? Like, how are you doing mentally? I don't think you see that in non-union. Like, this is a family, and like everybody is supporting everybody. And I'm really grateful to be here, and it's awesome to see so many women in office. I love it. Thanks.
Great.
Hi, my name is Tisha, so I'm apprentice. I'm a mother of 4-year-old boy. So I would have to say that it is very important that we be able to access to the childcare, because my husband, he work at night. So he need a lot of time to sleep in the morning, but I work early morning. So our schedule is kind of like not together at all. If you don't have a childcare, it's so hard for me to go to work without worry what's going on at home. And I don't have a family here. So I originally from Thailand. So I don't have a family here. So it's so hard to get help. I have a lot of friends that I can help, but when I ask somebody to help you at 5 o'clock in the morning, everybody say no. Doesn't matter how close you are. Sometimes I have to drop my kids off at my friend's house just because, the night before. So he can sleep there and get up in the morning and be with them. So I can go to work in the morning. So if we have a childcare that could support us, that we can go to work and being happy and get focus on the work, and then make sure that our kid gonna be safe. And that is the best. And really, thank you for 103 that step up for this. And also everybody here that acknowledge and push on this. Really appreciate this.
And we're going to make it happen, yeah. Absolutely. We're going to make it happen. Absolutely.
Susie?
Hi, I'm Susie DePina Correa. I'm a second-year apprentice, and I am actually the only one here who's not a mom of the apprentices. But 103 has been equally life-changing for me. Before the trades, I was making about $16 an hour and providing full-time care for a mentally disabled mother. So thinking about starting a family of my own, bringing a child into it was completely unheard of, impossible for me. Since being in the trades, I'm now on the road from making $16 an hour to $60. So that jump in income is absolutely insane. And it just means that, now looking forward and thinking about a future is actually possible for me. So I'm equally as grateful to be a part of 103. I can't imagine being in any other trade. And I'm glad that this conversation is happening now so that, I can, I don't have to go through the same struggles as a lot of the women I'm seeing are going through today. And as someone who also does a lot of outreach in my community of Dorchester, a lot of the reasons why women don't want to come into the trades or, people in general can't come into the trades is the aspect of childcare. Finding a place, like you guys said, that's open at 5 a.m. is nearly impossible right now. So this is an important conversation to have, and thank you for welcoming me to be here and a part of 103.
Did you say childcare was $5.75 a week? Wow. For one kid.
For one child.
And that's not even 5 a.m., right?
Not even 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And not for extended days. Like if you have some of the shifts are different. Like now that the tunnel's about to be shut down, we've already been warned we'll probably be doing 10 to 12 hours, 7 days a week, so that will change my husband's schedule once again to where he'll probably have to request a later shift and maybe work till 2, 3 a.m., which they have been, pretty good with him, but it's not guaranteed. And the fact is, my son doesn't get to see mommy and daddy together too often. My 15-year-old daughter doesn't get to see us together too often. And to me, that's extremely important, instilling these values in these young girls. I have 3 girls. My son's a little guy. I want him to be a gentleman. I want him to be a great husband one day, a great father, a great provider. My husband's a great provider, but my husband sees the different aspects. Either mommy's home or daddy's home. He doesn't really get to enjoy us together unless I take the weekend off, which I have been doing lately as a sacrifice, because family is important, the first and foremost. And Lou, I will say this again, seeing you with your family firsthand is so huge. So, and it means more than you know, because I came in and I just was like, you know what, God, have your way. But seeing you with family, let me know we're stronger together. We all go through things, but you are more of a role model than you could ever imagine. And I genuinely mean that. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm learning so much in this local, but from you as a man, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Well said.
Thank you.
It's amazing. Thank you.
I guess just a comment and a question. I was texting with Lou yesterday because they had Happy Juneteenth on the billboard yesterday. And the thing that I so appreciate about IBEW 103 is that you are practicing the values that many espouse. When you were asked, how's it been? And you said hard. It is always hard leading. It is always hard being a pace setter. So it is always good to be at IBEW 103 and to be with labor family who have practiced equal pay for equal work, who have been with us in solidarity on reproductive justice issues, on LGBTQ justice issues, on racial justice issues. But when I think about Juneteenth and full freedoms being actualized, it starts with economic justice. And so that's what we're seeing realized here today. So I just wanted to just affirm that, because you create opportunity for those that are reentering, that people would not give a second chance to. And so just the actualization of true gender justice, racial justice, and economic justice is an incredible thing to bear witness to. And thank each of you. I mean, I have to say, I feel like we don't do enough. I'm listening to all of you. I'm like, I need to take on a couple of more jobs or something to do my part here. But each of you is truly an inspiration. I did have a question, though, something, Madam Secretary, that we've been working very closely with the administration on, which is student debt. And this is another issue that IBEW 103 and our labor family have been in solidarity with us on. We're talking about childcare. I'm just curious, since many of you are mid-career, do any of you have student debt, or could any of you speak to what the difference is that would make for you?
I know, it's paid off.
Okay, all right, excellent.
Yeah, I still have a lot of student loans to pay off. They luckily, because of COVID, they're in forbearance for a while. But now that we're going to start making payments, I think coming this fall, it's just another added bill on there, and it's kind of tough. But I know that, as my wages increase, further I go through my apprenticeship, it'll hopefully be manageable. But the more assistance we can get with that, I know it would be great, life-changing for everyone.
Susie didn't really tell you her whole story. She's an amazing person. She went to Brandeis University, and she left Brandeis to take care of her mom, who's been ill. And when she went to go back to Brandeis, they rescinded her scholarship because she had left to go to take care of her mom. And that's what led her here, what makes her amazing. But she's second-year apprentice, and having to face her, paying her student loans and her debts, and it makes it even that much harder. So she's a rock star here. Yeah, Susie's a rock star here, and we appreciate.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susie.
Madam Secretary, I just want you to know that, so as a former president for the Iowa Union, the partnership between NECA, Garland, and Blue 103 is extraordinary, but it really is the secret to their success. You've got employers who believe in it, as well as a union that lives it every single day. I do want to say one thing on the federal side, and I deeply appreciate the way our new governor has embraced job training and union apprenticeship. We're blessed. But at the federal level, we have about 7,000 job training programs, federal programs. And the unions get 1% of the money that we push out the door. Yet they are producing more. The average of those 7,000 federally funded job training programs put out 3 job placements per year. 3 per year. We had GAO, the Government Accountability Office, do a study on this. So our programs are pushing out 3 for all that money, and it's about $500 million. We're giving 1% to the unions while they are producing for us, and there's that family aspect that Lisa Marie talked about, and the bond. We're actually, creating a family type vibe here, where women and especially women of color feel like they're welcome and they have a place, and they have. It's sticky. That's the best way to describe it. Is a lot of times we have people that get into a program and they drop out, but here with the support systems that are in place, the unions are doing the right thing. So maybe there's a way that we might at the federal level try to redirect some of the funding so that the success that these unions are experiencing can be amplified across the country. And by the way, Massachusetts, the numbers in May, unemployment numbers, 2.8%. So we are drawing, and it's because we're drawing both parents out into the workforce in order to meet our economic needs and to fund everything that needs to be funded. But there's a cost to that, and I think the child care issue is hitting the nail right on the head. We got to fix that, because we are causing parents to make those choices. I'm working nights, my wife is working days. That type of juggling, I think, has a long-term societal effect.
Absolutely.
And that these women are feeling every day.
Definitely. A couple thoughts. One of the things about union programs that are so effective is what you said, Lou, which is it's the apprenticeship model starts with the job, right? So everyone's getting paid and it's on a job. It's the earn while you learn model. And that is very effective because it almost always winds up in what you said, a permanent job or, a full-time job. So one of the things that we are doing at the Commerce Department is trying to take that apprenticeship model and apply it to other industries, not just the building trades. Healthcare, the stuff you're talking about, healthcare and climate and biotech. And so what we're trying to do, and this actually, it's unusual for the commerce person to be so leading in job training. Normally you lead with labor, but what we are saying is you got to start with the job. Start with the job so that you don't have less effective initiatives. You say, okay, start with the job. Maybe you work half a day and train half a day, or you train on the job. But these earn while you learn programs, I think, are so effective. Unions have been doing them forever, but it's very job focused. And then you get employer buy-in as well. So, I agree with you, Congressman. And we are saying, when I was the governor, I said to them, we're not going to do any more train and pray. Train and pray people get a job. You got to start with the job, train people. Train and pray.
Yeah.
Do I have time for one quickie question?
Sorry that I have to run for
Sorry, go.
the city, so I just wanted to say thank you so much, everyone, for providing the model that we can lift up across the country over and over again. It's such a just very humbling experience to be here always, and so inspirational. Feeling the love and the family support in the room. I'm reminded, these life moments where you feel the most intense emotions, your wedding day, when the kids are born. But I was kind of taken back to the day when both of my kids were finally dropped off at the same school for the first time. They're both old enough to be in, at that point, pre-K and first grade. And it was just such a relief that we had made it. We had survived all the juggling, the childcare hoops, the this and that, taking care of a mom as well on my end. And in this country, we make that guarantee when you're 5 years old and you're in kindergarten and the public school system is there and it's free and everybody gets that. But you really have to just try to fight your way through until you get there. And I just want to thank you all for being such great examples of employers and partners, union leaning in to say we're not going to let people have to fight through that on their own. At the city level, we've been able to benefit so much from the American Rescue Plan and the funding that our legislators have secured for us in standing up a whole office dedicated to early education and childcare, to close gaps where possible for families who are unhoused, to think about how we've been able to activate more classrooms that were actually sitting vacant. But because we funded it by classroom rather than by seat, it made sense infrastructure-wise to finally open that up. And so it's just an amazing day where I can sit here at this table and think about how city, state, federal childcare and issues that were previously invisible are now really being treated as key infrastructure. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Wu. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Did you want to add something?
If we have
Yeah.
1 second, I wanted to know, Lou, from you, how much pushback do you get from, if any, from employers when you start to talk about childcare?
Like you mentioned.
Yeah, or anyone.
So less here in Boston, the relationship that IBEW and NECA have, I just want to say the pushback there really has been no pushback. When we decide we want to put these programs together, a lot of the times it's coming from the employers. The employers are the ones that are hiring these women in the trade. They need them on the job. If they're calling in sick because they got to take care of a child or they don't have childcare, that hurts their bottom line. So they're right there with us, 100%. I would say to support us. They have been no pushback. Is that fair?
100%. And frankly, we talk at the NECA board, the employers, we talk about childcare on a regular basis, on a monthly basis at every meeting, because sometimes I get a call from one of the owners of these companies who deal with hundreds of employees on the job site, and they're calling to say, one of my best journeywomen can't come to work anymore because she just lost her childcare. What can we do about it? And we don't have the answers, which is why we're going to get them. So the NECA contractors and the electrical contractors that are IBEW contractors are 100% on board and need a solution just as bad as our IBEW electricians do.
Amazing.
Good.
Well, I want to thank each and every one of you, to our wonderful moms and apprentice and caretakers, all of you. Thank you for sharing your stories. It really is what makes our work come alive for us. And we'll think of you when we're doing our policy work in Washington and use your story and your family examples. And to Lou and Kristen, thank you for everything that IBEW 103 and NECA does to really help just make sure that when we build an economy, it's centered around workers, families, and community. You live that, you do that every single day. To my incredible colleagues and governor, thank you so much for all your work. And to our secretary, thank you for joining
Thank you
us.
for
We're
having me.
glad to have you back in the land of proper pronunciation. And I wanted just to thank you for this. This is a game-changing proposal, what you've done with the CHIPS Act.
Thank you.
I know that you did get pushback on this, and we are very much looking forward as those applications roll in to see the proposals and to see this being built out. But it takes leadership, and leadership is hard when you are cutting new ground, as our Congresswoman said so beautifully. And so we're so grateful to you for really taking this childcare issue to one that is about our economic infrastructure and about the security. When we're building these semiconductor chips, it's great for national security, and you've also made it great for the security of families throughout this country. So thank you all for being here. Such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys want to take a picture? You want Susie, come take a picture, please.